Welcome back to the Lehocky Eagles postgame show. As you can see, we're not at Ocean Casino today. It is New Year's Eve, and we're hanging home to give you this show. Spread tidings of good cheer on New Year's Eve. You have my permission to start drinking right now. Okay, don't even wait till we get to the witching hour where the new year comes in, because the Eagles have lost to the Arizona Cardinals at home, 35-31. Where that puts them in the playoffs, I mean, who knows and who cares at this point? They look like a third seed now, which means they're going to have, if they win their first round game, they're going to have to play San Francisco in their next game, as the 49ers probably clinched the number one seed. They won today. Detroit probably moves ahead of the Eagles. The Cowboys are still involved. This is hard to believe. But in any event, Bill Colarulo is joining us on the broadcast. And, of course, this is time for the player you can bank on, which Mark Farzetta usually handles, but we always put him in a tough spot over the last several weeks because there has not been a player you can count on. So, Mark, the player you can count on is presented by First Trust Bank. You can take this anywhere you want.
Yeah, I'm going to take it to the guy that took it to the Eagles all the livelong day, and James Conner. They had no answer for him. And said everything you pointed out when it comes to what the defense wasn't able to do. This is the guy that above everyone else that the Cardinals counted on today, James Conner was the guy they could absolutely bank on. And I hate to go to the Cardinals, but I'm certainly not going to go with a compliment towards the Eagles in this game. But when it was all said and done, 26 carries, 128 yards, and a touchdown. He had himself an absolute day, even had one reception on it. But every time you looked up at the screen, he was the guy that was absolutely taking it to the Eagles. And when you look at the end of the second half and you look at the third quarter where they really started to go on that run, James Conner was the guy that was at the forefront of it. And throughout the game, he was absolutely the guy they could bank on.
That was he had one catch. That was a pretty significant catch, don't you think?
Little bet.
The one-handed snag for the touchdown. Bill, I know you're just as perplexed as everybody, but maybe we shouldn't be perplexed because this team has shown its identity. It's a fragmented team right now. So, the fact that they lost to the Cardinals, while it is kind of overwhelming, is maybe kind of predictable to the point where they are right now.
Yeah, we sit here on New Year's Eve, not in the best of moods, but I'm not mad at Nick Sirianni or Brian Johnson or Matt Patricia, Howie Roseman. I'm mad at myself because for 14 games, I watched this team and I kept thinking to myself, something's off, knowing that they weren't good enough, knowing that they were just finding ways to win, but I kept getting pulled back in. What's the old expression? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I kept fooling myself because I wanted to believe this team. And I wanted to listen to everyone saying, well, they're 11-4. Well, they're 10-1. They kept winning football games. But when we do look at the entire season now with 20/20 vision in hindsight, they haven't been good all year. This defense is terrible, absolutely terrible. And there was one thing that this defense did well to start the year, and that was stop the run, or so it appeared statistically that they did it well. You look at the first 9 games of the season, only one team rushed for over 100 yards against this team. You now look at the last 7, and every single damn team has rushed for over 100 yards. They're giving up an average of over 150 yards a game on the ground. So now no longer do they just stink against the pass and on third down and in the red zone and getting after the quarterback. They also stink against the run. So my anger and my frustration is at myself because I didn't trust my eyes at what I was watching for 14 damn games, which is not a good football team. And it is a miracle that they've won 11 football games, still with a -7 turnover differential because that interception at the end of the game by Jalen Hurts. Extremely frustrating. And look, you're saying they're going to be the 3 seed. They're going to be the 5 seed, Mike, because the Cowboys are going to beat the Commanders.
It could be the 5 or they could be the 3. You never know.
Honestly, they could be the 1 seed and it wouldn't matter. This team is not doing anything in the playoffs. They are just not a good football team. And that's the sad reality that's setting in because the season's almost over and we're going to have a long offseason waiting for next year.
Bill, don't be mad at yourself. I tried to tell you 3 weeks ago when we sat in the ocean. Didn't I try to tell you? But you want to know something? You'll say that, And there'll be people on the radio and on TV and in print and whatnot. Oh, it's easy to say that in hindsight. BS, okay? I've been saying it all year long. And all I've been getting is, oh, you know, what are you talking about? The team is 5-1 and 6-1 and 10-1. I've been saying it all year long. The team hasn't played well all year long. You know, usually when you look at a team like San Francisco, yeah, they got taken out to the woodshed last week, you know, by the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens have proven to be, you know, that team this year. The thing I like about what I heard those guys out of Baltimore say is like everybody else wants to play basketball on grass. We don't play that way. There's not that many people that want to play the style of football that we want to play because we want to hit you in the mouth, okay? You don't hear that kind of rhetoric coming out of defenses and football teams anymore because everybody wants to play this little pansy-ass brand of football, you know, where you're playing 7-on-7 and you're throwing the ball all over the place and you're pushing guys down and you're trying to, you know, dive at ankles and whatnot. Nobody wants to get close enough to put their physical body in their face on somebody and knock some snot out of anybody anymore. That's why the Baltimore Ravens are the #1 team right now because they're gonna physically intimidate you. Do the Eagles physically intimidate you in any way? Especially they can do it on the offensive side of the ball, you know, from the offensive line standpoint. But the coaching staff won't give them the opportunity to dominate the game in that way. They sure as hell can't do it on the defensive side. All they do is catch. They don't try to enforce anything. Every single time that James Conner ran the football today, he fell forward every day. Nobody knocked him back. You know, it took Milton Williams getting in the backfield, you know, slipping a gap. How come we weren't slipping more gaps today? Because you know what they do? They sit there like statues. And they run no games. They got no run blitzes, nothing. They don't even know how to time it up. They don't even know how to do – they're clueless when it comes to what they're doing defensively, okay? So, Bill, you talk about being confused. I tell people, you want to know something? I know you don't want to hear it. I told y'all so. I've been telling y'all so all damn long, all year long. And
here's the thing. All due respect to Bill, I'm not mad at myself. I am mad at Nick Sirianni. I am mad at Brian Johnson and Matt Patricia and Sean Desai because they're the guys that have to coach this freaking team. I'm not going to take the blame and say I overvalued them. This is a team that was ahead 21-6 at halftime. What did their defensive coordinator do to influence the third quarter when that inferior team ran it up your giggy? That team ran 72 plays on you. I'm supposed to sit here and not blame a coaching staff? This team came in to this game in Eagleville not being able to stop the run. I'm not going to get mad at the head coach for saying, this is what the game plan is going to be. We're going to run against this team. So, yeah, I'm going to blame everybody, and I'm not blaming me. You want to blame yourself, Bill? Knock yourself out.
Yeah, but you look at it. Look, listen, I've been a guy.
You know why you're going to hear it? You're going to hear it because those people who are just diehard Eagles fans come hell or high water. They don't care what the hell happens. You'll still get those that be like, oh, it's still 11-5 and they're in the playoffs. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. If anybody says that right now, they're not a true fan. They have no fiber as a fan.
But I've been a guy on this show.
When you try to be critical of this team, people don't realize that we're not in the business of being fans. I want the Eagles to win. I want them to do well. At this point,
our job is to analyze the game. It can't be that idiotic to watch what's going on and say they're still 11-5.
They're out there.
They're smarter than that.
I've been a guy on this show.
Hey, they're out there.
But I've been a guy on this show that usually gets frustrated that they don't run the ball enough. I say that a lot. We've talked about it a lot. I don't think that was the problem today. Yes, they should have run the ball a little bit more. I did not like the play calling at the end of the game after the onside kick. But the reason they lost this game wasn't because they didn't run the ball enough. They didn't have the ball enough. The drives that they let the Arizona Cardinals go on was insane on the defensive side of the ball. The Arizona Cardinals, they flashed a stat in the first half, had the longest drive of their season, and it was a 14-play drive. The Eagles then let them follow that up with a 16-play drive. So exactly. It was the defense that lost this game.
The defensive coordinator for that?
No, I'm not going to blame the defensive coordinator. Who I blame for the way the defense plays is Howie Roseman, because we've now been saying it for a few weeks, and I started to ask the question even before the 49ers game, did this defense have the personnel to go back to a Super Bowl?
I'm not absolving. Defense have the personnel The defense that don't have the personnel coach around it.
I don't see how you could coach around bad tackling, how you could coach around guys who just can't cover, who can't tackle the football. It's yes, the players need to play better. The coaches need to play better. I'm not absolving Nick Sirianni or Matt Patricia or the players entirely, but I think if we need to share the blame here, the lion's share of the blame has to go to Howie Roseman and whoever built this defense, because they don't have good linebackers. Shaq Leonard had some flashes last week against the Giants. He's not the answer. Avonte Maddox, Seth said, is spot on. Didn't look great tonight, which you expect. He's rusty, but then they shouldn't have sat Bradley Roby tonight. They don't have secondary players. Keely Ringo is a rookie. As excited as we were about Keely Ringo and as excited as we are about Sidney Brown, you can't expect those guys to make enough plays for you to get back to a Super Bowl. They don't have good players on the back end, and that is a direct result of Howie Roseman and the roster that he built for this team. So, yeah, I'm angry at Sirianni, and I'm angry at Matt Patricia and Brian Johnson, but I'm really angry at the defense that was built on a team that should have had Super Bowl aspirations.
And they did. Early in the season, they did.
I get it. The Cardinals have how many wins? What are we asking?
They
have bad personnel. Bad personnel should still beat this team.
Yeah, this team, the Cardinals are a bad football team, and the Eagles proved that they were the worst football team today. And here's what really bothers me about this particular game. This is really the cherry on top of what has been one panic move after another by this Eagles team. Some of them worked out. Kevin Byard has been better than what they had, so that was fine. But everything else has been worse after that. And Sean Desai was demoted. Why again? Matt Patricia was going to be the genius savior for what reason? And they waited that long to make that move. I said at the time that was a move that was 1,000% a panic move. But if you were going to make that much of a blatant panic move, you better be right. And they obviously were not at all right. And for anyone that watched this team, even at 10-1, even right before they got blown out against the 49ers and got beat by the Cardinals, anyone that watched this team and said, oh, I'm watching a Super Bowl contender, what the hell were you looking at throughout this entire time? Because they never showed that they were one of the better teams in the NFL. They showed that they could just squeak by. And when they started facing the upper echelon teams, they started to get blown out. And now you face those lower tier teams. You can't beat a Drew Lock-led Seahawks team. And now you can't beat this Cardinals team. And you just barely beat the Giants. Defensively speaking, this team is an embarrassment, and they tried to push the panic button to make an overhaul defensively in some type of different philosophy with, 5 games left in the season against the guys that were on that schedule, and now we're supposed to look at it and go, oh, that was the saving grace for the season. Yeah, once again, 1-4 in those 5 games. Embarrassing.
Mic drop.
Pretty good.
Don't get me wrong. These coaches are not doing a great job. But what I'm saying is when you have coaches, you have a new offensive coordinator and you have a brand new defensive coordinator. The coaches aren't good enough to overcome a lack of personnel on the defensive side of the football. So that is why I blame Howie Roseman, because you're going to put Sean Desai as your defensive coordinator, and the quote that Mike Missinelli had is they're trying to run a high-powered Ferrari with aftermarket parts, and you're trying to do it with a mechanic who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So you put all of those things together. Yes,
trying to do with Putty from Seinfeld. Oh, he's actually a good mechanic.
Yeah, he was a good mechanic. It was the other guy. That Garrett guy. Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a break. On the other side, we got Kayla Santiago will join us with the Diamond debate, and we'll look over the playoff thing. Because, Bill, at this point, they are likely to be the 5th seed. Which means Dallas is going to win the division and get the 2 seed. And they win the tiebreaker over the Lions, who get the 3 seed, which means the Eagles will have to go to Tampa Bay. And if they win that game in Tampa Bay, which you can't possibly count on at this point, they would play the 49ers. So the reality is, forget about it. All right? From where they are right now, there is no miracle that's going to happen. It's the Pile of Hockey Eagles postgame show. We're back after this.
They're farming them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.